Hey guys, Bill Spadea here. Welcome back to Common Ground, our new streaming show brought to you by New Jersey 101.5 and a slew of advertisers you're going to hear from as we go through the show. Special location today. I am broadcasting live from the Bridgewater Manor in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Beautiful Somerset County. We've got a lot to talk about today. We just wrapped up our third sold-out Women for Common Sense Luncheon, another great success. We are seeing the momentum building. And as I've shared with you before, when we look at the numbers as far as what is happening in New Jersey and how fast we're growing as an organization, now 143,000 members of the Common Sense Club, I've said this over and over again, that 7 out of 10 of our major donors are women. And that is an enormous number. You know, so many people talk about how politics is a male-dominated sport. And you know what? For many, many decades it has been. But I will tell you this, that at least in New Jersey, women are standing up and saying, we've had enough. We've had enough of the interference with government coming in between us and our kids, with government telling us that we can have nothing to do with what happens at the local boards of education and in the classroom. Government lawyers actually suing school boards and calling out moms and dads who show up at these meetings as domestic terrorists. It's gone too far. Not to mention the public safety issues that we face with rising crime. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. Now, what numbers Governor Murphy and his henchmen in the AG's office want to spin. The reality is home break-ins are up. You're less safe in your neighborhood, and in part it's because our government does not enforce, this is New Jersey now, federal detainer orders against criminals who are here illegally. It's completely outrageous. Do you know we've actually closed jails in New Jersey because the governor, in his effort to keep New Jersey a sanctuary state, has forbid the local jails to earn revenue by detaining criminal aliens. It's absolutely outrageous. Another stat for you, why women are up in arms and angry. And actually, and of course, it's not just women, it's moms and dads, it's people everywhere in between saying we've had enough of what's happening in New Jersey. 82% of the perps that are picked up by our cops after allegedly committing a crime get released that day. 82%. Bail reform is a complete unmitigated disaster, and it's made us less safe. Now, part of the problem is that the Republican Party in parts of our state have not stood up to the test of saying we've got to stand for good government. And in one of those places, Sussex County, and I'll get to Somerset County, and we're going to talk about Women for Common Sense and why we're here. But in Sussex County, there were battles locally that I want you to hear about, because even after you win an election, the fight is actually just beginning. Now, joining me now, Joe LaBarbera. Joe is a veteran, and he is the new county chairman in Sussex County. Joe, great to have you here. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Bill. Appreciate it.
Tell me first a little bit about Sussex County. I think that the average person thinks that they're like, wait, Sussex County, where's that? That's all the way northwest New Jersey. It is a beautiful, beautiful county. I mean, you've got skiing up there and fishing and rivers and the whole 9 yards. And it tends to be very Republican. But sometimes when you get one-party rule, even if it's on the Republican side, you get some problems. Tell me what happened in Hopatcong.
Well, there's an old saying, iron sharpens iron. And without criticism and without debate and without good primaries, you don't really have the best candidates coming forward. So what we had happen in Hopatcong is a group that lost the primary, didn't want to accept the fact they lost the primary, and they used every trick in the book, basically. Some of them that didn't even look that legal to try to subvert the people's will. And the fact that not only did they lose, they lost big. They lost in the primary, and they got completely routed in the write-in campaign they did. And now they're trying to use procedure, and they're trying to use little tricks of administration to try to strip the power of the oncoming mayor.
And they've actually had meetings where they are trying to legally, through in this lame duck period before they leave office, change the rules.
Yeah, they're trying to take away all the powers of the mayor and give it to the business administrator.
But a couple hundred people showed up at the last meeting, forcing them to shut it down.
This was a true example of the people standing up for their rights. Yeah. It was glorious.
Let me ask you, what do you think is the biggest challenge in a Republican area like yours? How do you get to the voters and increase that turnout? One of the things that we've seen in areas where it's purple and it's a battle, areas where it's blue, and areas where it's red, Republican votes over the last 8 to 10 years steadily coming down, not as strong, not turning out. Why?
Well, in Sussex, we had a 2% increase, which was good. But ultimately, we need authenticity and results. A candidate's got to be authentic, and the people see through that. When you have 20%, less than 20% people coming out to vote, it's because they don't think their Republican candidates are authentic. First problem. Second problem is results. Just because somebody talks conservative and gets endorsements doesn't mean they're doing a good job. Whatever job an office holder is in, they need to show that they're actually bringing home the bacon.
How about young people? We talk about that 18 to 29-year-old vote, traditionally low turnout, and young people don't seem to be as inspired, if you're listening to pop culture, if you're listening to what the talking heads are saying, as inspired by Republican candidates. How are you going about focusing on bringing in those young voters?
You gotta. I think authenticity is the key, because when you're young, like all of us were at one time, and some of us are still young at heart, you don't see the world in terms of the gray. You don't see the world in terms of the politics and the connections and all the things that older people will think are showstoppers. Young people are idealistic, and they think a lot of times with their hearts, and we need to reach out to them and show that we're the way forward.
How strong is the party that you took over? Is there a lot of rebuilding to do, or you're feeling pretty confident going into the 24 election and then the 25 election?
We have 2 towns and 2 school boards to take back, and I feel very strongly we're going to do it to have a 100% Republican conservative county.
That's incredible. Joe LaBarbera, thank you, and I appreciate your long service as a veteran to this great country. Last question before I let you go. Do you feel, I've been talking a lot about this, and I just wanted your take on it as a veteran, as a leader, that we are no longer talking about American exceptionalism in our classrooms. Our kids are taught that our history is bad, that we're just nothing but a racist country, that thankfully the liberal Democrats have come in to save the day. And we're really teaching kids to be almost self-loathing Americans. How do you feel about that? And
well, this is a result of a long-standing leftist movement in the country based on Howard Zinn and the 1619 Project. I could ad-lib. We could talk about this for a long time, but this one piece of propaganda that the far left and the old-school Marxist Party made in America has really grown legs, and we have to do everything we can to show that it's bad history, it's basically lies and propaganda, and that it's resulted in curriculums all around America that have been contaminating our country.
But here we are, Sussex County. You're 2 towns away from a complete sweep.
Yep, at that point,
it's exciting.
We're good. Yep.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything you do.
Joe LaBarbera, good guy. As you see, the Republican Party is the party of the future. And what I want to do, I want to bring in my next guest now, and I want to thank Joe for being here. We really have covered 3 major counties in New Jersey with this Women for Common Sense event, Somerset County, Sussex County, as you just heard, and Bergen County. I want to bring in my good friend Tim Howes, who is the chairman in Sussex County. I'm sorry, in Somerset County. Yeah, sorry about that, Tim. If only, right? Yeah. And Tim has been at this a long time in New Jersey. And I wanted to bring him in to do a couple things. Number one, talk about what I've been saying on the air, which is one of my favorite stats, that that one has to flip. Yep, flip up that way.
Oh, yeah.
And there you go.
We don't use those in the law.
No, that's it. And look, this is one of the sharpest minds in the legal practice in New Jersey, but he's got good news. A lot of people look at some of these counties, Tim, and they'll look at Somerset County and they'll say, well, you didn't win this district. Excuse me, you didn't win this countywide election. But 7 out of 10 voters in Somerset County live under Republican leadership.
That's correct. As I've said on your show before, Somerset County is like a good steak. It's red on the inside.
I love it.
We continue to see that, and we picked up ground in Boundbrook. Since I've been chair, we've net gained 18 seats locally.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. We need to take the next step. We came very close to pulling an upset off in 2021. Amber Murad was one of our candidates. We outperformed our margins by 10 points.
Yeah,
I mean we're a D plus 10 county in the registration.
What's the mood like among Republican county committee members? Because I know a lot of people, they came out of 2023. Wow, that smarts. We lost. I have been out spreading the message saying, look, we actually made tremendous gains locally, but that message did not necessarily resonate all the way up.
Well, we're always enthusiastic because we do have that success locally, whether it be Nick Cara in Raritan, who won with 62% of the vote. Colin Hickey, the same way. We've talked about both of them on the radio. So there is that grassroots enthusiasm because they know that we deliver good government and we get the word out and win those elections. And we know that at some point, maybe be this year, maybe it'll be next year, we're going to start winning the county back.
Bridgewater, going to be a big part of that.
Yep.
Big town in Somerset County. Matt Mensch, convincing victory, reelected as mayor.
Yep. D+2 in the registration.
Think about that.
He won it by 8.5 points.
So think about that for a minute. Now, that is the takeaway. And I've been saying this, and Tim, you and I have talked about this. My audience is the largest in the state. You're talking to more than 1 million people, yet it's a third Democrat, a third Republican, and a third independent. The reality is the local common sense message resonates. Democrats can vote for a Republican, and locally they will vote for a Republican if you've got the right message.
Yes, and that has to do, I hate to use the phrase, but common sense. They want,
or you love to use the phrase. I don't
know.
Could be either way. It's a good phrase.
I'm a lawyer. I got to be paid to use phrases. The fact is that the unaffiliated voter, some Democrats do vote for us because of how we manage these towns. It's professionally done. You can't have. You're north of Route 22 here. The people we have, whether you're talking about Colin Hickey, Steve Parker, Amber. Amber's on a school board. The other team doesn't have this talent. That's why we will continue to win the unaffiliateds, win some Democrats who might be voting for, God bless him, President Biden. We'll continue to do that because how we've governed.
And that happened in Raritan. Just real quick, I only have about a minute left, but tell me about Raritan.
Raritan,
huge win.
Nick Cara, who became a councilman when he was, I think, about 3 years old. He was in his third term as council, ran for mayor. They found a really good deal on the old bank building. It was the old Raritan Savings Bank building. And they were going to spend, the original plan was going to be spend about $12 million for the new municipal building because the police needed more space to protect Raritan. They needed more space. So we're going to move. We're going to move the rest of the government over to Main Street. And he got that out there, and he's getting it done. And that's why in a D+10 town, D+10
elected a Republican mayor. Digest that for a minute.
He won by 20, either 20 or, Nick, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I don't remember the right number. And he did it, and he knocked on every door. And he's going to be replaced, just as very forward thinking. And his replacement on the council when he becomes mayor is going to be a gentleman named Umesh Agrawal.
That's great.
And we're very proud of both of them. And that's what we're about here.
It's what you've done in Somerset. It's what Joe is doing in Sussex. It's building a bench for the future. And if you start locally, let's face it, we're old enough to know that there was a time when we had a veto-proof majority in New Jersey with the Republicans in Trenton. That went away, and one of the reasons is the Democrats started locally and built their way up. And now the reverse is happening, and we've got to get this done in the next year and a half.
Amen. Amen. Well, thanks for having me on, Bill. I appreciate it, and it was a great day here.
Great to see you, Tim.
Take care.
Tim Howes, chairman in Somerset County. I want to go off our script for a minute. I want to bring Amber Murad in. Thank you, Sharon. And Amber is, as you know, president of a local school board. Amber, come on in. You are a shining example of what happens when a mom says, "I've had enough. I'm going to run." So first of all, congratulations. So you're now president of the school board. Tell me about your first entrance into politics.
I got censured. But yes, it was interesting. The reason I joined was I wanted a better future for my kids and those around me. And to me, it's about the future. How can I help set the foundation today that 10, 20 years from now, when my kids are out of school and college, that they have an opportunity to live in New Jersey in an affordable way. And like I said, I hope they can live down the street.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? And speaking from my own experience, my wife Jody and I, that's our goal. We've got our daughter living in London, our son living in San Diego. It would be nice to have them across the street, but we've got to fix it first. Right. So tell me, what resistance did you have once you first got onto the school board? You got censured because they were mad that you were standing up against the sexualized curriculum.
And COVID policies, actually.
Yeah.
I think there's just so much that needs to be changed, especially when it comes to parental rights and transparency. That's lacking. Whether you take it from what the COVID regulations were for students and what the impact looks like today. For instance, we are at a fiscal cliff as a state when it comes to education. The S2 funding formula needs to go. It is not benefiting anybody. So as a school board president...
Well, and it's abused politically.
It is.
So certain areas that didn't support the current governor didn't get as much money. And what happens is they then stick that to the taxpayers. And the goal is to make sure the taxpayers blame local.
Right.
But it's not local.
It's not.
It's statewide.
It is statewide. And that's why schools like mine...
And what town?
Watchung.
You're in Watchung.
Yes.
So in Watchung... relatively conservative area, right?
We're a full Republican committee on the borough council. We are a very conservative town,
but you were still new to the process.
I was new to the process. Yeah.
What motivates you?
My children.
Yeah.
They do.
Now, how old are they now?
3 and 7.
So you're at the start of the school life that you'll have over the next 10, 15 years.
Yes.
This is when to do it.
It is. You can't wait until you're further down the road.
Amber, for our audience, moms like you who have never run before, I don't want to sugarcoat it because I know there's a fear, there's a scariness, but was it as hard as you thought it would be? And what do you want to say to somebody right now who's watching saying, you know what? Maybe I've got 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old. Maybe I can get involved too. What do you want to tell them?
I want to tell them, don't be afraid. Get out there, have your voice heard, and be the champion that your children need. You'll always find support. I know I have, whether it's in my chairman and the people around me, Bill. And I always remember going back to what my parents would say, if these days don't last, then the other ones won't either. So if today you think that it's fearful, remember that when you're standing up, that you are the voice for your children, for those around you that don't have one. You'll never find a lack of support. And if you do, you could always reach out to me, Amber Murad.
I love it. Couldn't have said it better myself. Amber, so nice to see you.
Thank you.
Very much. All right, what I want to do is turn to a little bit north of Somerset County and a little bit east of Sussex County and turn our attention quickly to Bergen County. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Hi, Joe here from Guaranteed Service. There's nothing worse than having your furnace or boiler break down during a cold spell. That's why this is a perfect time to take advantage of our $77 furnace or boiler tune-up. Our 21-point checklist covers everything needed to keep your system running safely and efficiently. We'll even guarantee no breakdowns all winter long or your repairs free. So call today for our $77 furnace or boiler tune-up and you'll become a customer for life. Guaranteed.
Hey guys, Bill Spadea here. Like you, I am sick and tired of the culture of acceptance that has been beaten into us by Trenton politicians on both sides of the aisle. Accepting their higher taxes, accepting higher tolls, crumbling roads, accepting a radical school curriculum, accepting busloads of illegal border crossers, accepting prisoners being let out before they complete their sentences, and perhaps worst of all, accepting losing November after November. It is time to break the mentality of acceptance being pushed by Trenton politicians. We need to demand common sense policies and leaders who get it. Hey guys, Bill Spadea here. Welcome back to our streaming show, Common Ground, with me, your host, Bill Spadea, brought to you by New Jersey 101.5. I want to appreciate all the folks at New Jersey 101.5. Mike Brandt is here with us, brought the big yellow van today. Appreciate him. And everyone that has something to do with getting our multiple platforms of media off the ground every single day. We are speaking to the largest audience in the state, but that wasn't good enough. We're going to make it even bigger, because we want to reach you on every platform possible to talk about how we save New Jersey. New Jersey is a great state. New Jersey is a place that is a beacon of hope for people around the world that end up coming here from all different countries saying, that's a place that I can raise my family, start my business, maybe even eventually retire. And what's happened is the corruption at the top level, the top on down, from Trenton on down, the fact that they play politics with parental rights, they play politics with your money, they play politics with our patriotism, all of it has got to stop. And how do you stop it? You stop it from the ground up. It was something that I was having the conversation with Tim Howes from Somerset County and Joe LaBarbera from Sussex County, saying that it's one thing to put all your eggs in the basket and say, wow, wouldn't it be great to elect a new president, to elect a new governor, and that person will solve the problem. Well, we have seen time and again over the past 30 years that that is simply not the case. And we are old enough, or I'll say I'm old enough to remember going back, as I said earlier in the show, to a time when the Republicans dominated both houses of the legislature, had a governor, literally a veto-proof majority. And what happened? Well, it was completely squandered over the past 24 years. And it was squandered because the Republicans took their eye off the ball. They thought it was all about moving up, all about ambition. No, it wasn't. It was about good government. It was always about good government. And now we're seeing that return. Now, joining me now, someone who is really an example of what it means to lead with good government. Her name is Stephanie Yang, and she is a council member in Palisades Park in beautiful Bergen County. Stephanie, great to have you with me.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Now, Stephanie, Palisades Park is an interesting town where you started actually on the school board.
Right.
Started fighting there and then fought your way up to council.
Yes,
Tell me.
Started 2007. I ran for the school board, and it took me 10 years to become a school board, finally.
Wow. How many times did you run?
I ran 5-6 times.
That is fantastic. You never gave up.
Right.
Why were you so motivated to be on the Board of Education?
Okay, first of all, education is very, very important for all of us in our lives, that many, many immigrants, that they are here only because they saw the great American education system, like my parents did. So they brought 3 daughters to America. So I came here in 1980. I was 19 years old.
Wow.
And I studied in America, and I went to college. And my
what was that transition like? I mean, you're in your home country at 18. You're an adult. Life is right there. Was it very abrupt and jarring? Was it something your parents had planned for a long time? What happened? What was the catalyst?
Right. As you may know, the Asian girls, they have to listen to their parents. So my parents planned to go to America for my education and my sisters. So I actually went to NYU Stern. I studied business.
Impressive.
My 2 sisters went to Parsons. So they're artists.
No kidding.
And
that's great.
So for my parents' side, they kind of succeeded what they really wanted. And for me, I became the school teacher, and I taught math, and I was a counselor at the school, and I did college counseling, and I worked at the college as an admission director. So my second generation Asian Americans, it was my main agenda. And I told them to go into the mainstream and become, get involved with the politics. And they said, I don't know how to. So as a teacher, I just wanted to show the way. Yeah. But from the first year, the Democrat people blocked me to run. So, for those 10 years, I was kicked out from the town. I had to move to another town. I lived there for 4 years. I came back.
Why did the Democrats not want you?
Oh, not only I was a Republican, because I was a newbie in town. No one knew me, and then there's an
old boys network.
Yeah,
you got to belong to the club first before they let you in.
Yeah, that's what I think.
How tough was it on your personal life, your family? That's a difficult road over 10 years to try to break into local politics. Why was it so important to you?
Because my personality, once I start to get into something, I really want to see the result, and I do my best. And I never ask my students, why are you failing, or why you are not getting a good grade. I just always ask anyone around me, did you do your best? So
that's great.
My motto of life is doing my best.
So you left the school board and you moved up to the council. What are you finding at the level of council? Is it more difficult, more challenging?
Yes, for 23 years, they only had Democrats in our town. There were none Republicans.
No kidding.
So I made into the first seat as a Democrat the Republican Council in 23 years. And I switched that year, last year, I switched one of our Democrat councilmen into the Republican
That's great.
Council.
What was the issue for them?
They were in power too long, and
Right,
So,
they get stale, they get old, they get stuck in their ways, and they think their ways, it goes. That's it.
All the things that every town faced a problem with happened in Palisade Park. So, and this year, we also brought another, the Republican Council into the
That's
seat.
fantastic.
So,
congratulations on that. I think that is absolutely fantastic. You are a breath of fresh air and a representative of absolute determination, courage, and strength. And the town is lucky to have you. Let me ask you this, though: you're on this path, and you're very smart. You're clearly a leader. What's next?
I really want to learn the borough, the town level of politics and all the administrative matters, and going into the policy and ordinance, and learn very well at the small town level, and going into the little bigger scope.
Hopefully a future mayor, maybe higher, maybe commissioner. Stephanie Yang, so nice to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
What a fantastic person, what a great leader, someone that truly understands local. And what did you hear? Talked about learning the borough, learning the budget, learning the process. Politics is not about sound bites. It's not about one big issue and where you stand and let's divide between red and blue. No, it's about local. It's about people. It's about understanding what makes a town function. You want to know why you've got potholes on your road? Because you don't have responsible local government. You want to know why your taxes are too high? Because the folks in the legislature have failed for decades to wrap any common sense around school funding. And it's now 60+% of what's happening at the local level on your real estate taxes. You want to know why things are bad and difficult and more expensive? Because your state government is completely irresponsible and morally bankrupt. And what we need is to get the politics out and the talking points out and get the practical, common sense leadership in. Now, one of the leaders, moving us back to Somerset County, my good friend Rosie Thakar is here. Rosie, always great to see you.
Thank you for
being here. Appreciate it. So, Rosie, you came into this Women for Common Sense movement like gangbusters. And now I don't know, and I don't want to insult anybody before, it's possible this sold out faster than the other two.
I believe so.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So
I'm
thank you
biased,
for that.
so I'll take
Thank you.
that.
Let's talk about Women for Common Sense and your role in Montgomery as a leader. You and your family, you're meeting your daughter, who's your traveling photographer. Fantastic.
Yes.
I need to buy that light. I need a link to the light she has on top of her phone. And your great husband, Supinder, you've got a great family. You are really stalwarts when it comes to Somerset County. What do you see happening in the future, and what role are young women in particular going to play?
So I am doing this for the future generation, especially my daughter, and she knows this. There are so many things that bother us. That's how I got into being the chairwoman. In my own hometown, there are sewer systems. There is stuff happening in our backyard. Nobody wants to listen. We reached out to the mayor. My entire town reached out to the mayor, and guess what? She said, nothing is going to happen. This is just HOA's problem, not my problem. She walked away. The very same evening, Ida hit, and most of the houses were flooded. Yeah. So this is what's happening around the town. You have to choose the right kind of people, and you have to choose the right kind of members of the society who are going to listen to you. My voice matters. My pain matters. My story matters. And I want to do this for the future generation.
That's great. It's fantastic. It's inspiring. I was talking with our Somerset County Chair, Tim Howes, earlier, and pointing out that 7 out of 10, it's actually a little higher now. I think it's close now, almost to 8 out of 10. We're almost approaching 75% of residents in Somerset County living with under Republican leadership locally.
Yes.
So, and Montgomery, I know, is a strong town. You've run a few candidates, and they keep getting closer. What do you see as the future of Montgomery?
So I do think we can flip the seats, and it's not just about putting a Democrat on the seat or a Republican on the seat. We want to put the candidate who will listen to us, who will fix what's broken. And we see things every day, and, there are senior citizens who are worrying about what's going to happen to them. We see the voting time. They take away the voting machines more and more away from the seniors. So these are the things nobody's noticing. We need to fix that.
Wow. And we need Republicans to vote.
We need Republicans to
Right.
come out, stop complaining.
Thank
just
you.
need to come out to the voting booth and just come out and vote. And just in case if you think that your voice doesn't matter, every ballot, every vote, every single person that is sitting out there, I'm requesting you, please, on the voting day, come out and vote. Your vote matters. And if you're not able to come, then just sign up for VBMs.
Right. The vote by mail is not something to be scared of. Now, I do believe we have to change it. I believe we have to start requiring voter identification when you vote. I think we need to audit all 21 counties and sit down with the county clerks and make sure there's a chain of custody, make sure that the ballot drop boxes are monitored by law enforcement 24/7. There's a lot that needs to happen. However, you got to vote. 8 out of 10 voters stayed home in the 2023 midterm elections.
That is correct.
Inexcusable. That's why things didn't change. The Republicans, for their part, lost 5 seats. Why? Well, because they spent more time fighting each other after the primary was over, instead of saying, we've got some good local folks here and we can win. So, Rosie, thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for being on our board for Women for Common Sense. And I said this in my remarks earlier at the luncheon. 7 out of 10 of our major donors are women. And in key areas in the state, even as a talk radio host, where most talk radio hosts have an 80-20 male-female split, we're 50-50 in a lot of our core areas, and that's because women have had enough. It's time for change.
It is
Thank
no
you, Rosie.
longer just bourbon and cigars.
No, but
it is all about women. We can get the things
fair
done.
enough. I think there are some women that will enjoy bourbon and a cigar. I think it's just fine. We don't have to change the back
don't
room.
change it, but at the same time,
But
Women
it's-
for Common Sense.
I
is
agree
the way to
100%.
go.
Rosie, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I want to pause for a quick word from our sponsor. As you know, I'll tell the quick story. My good friend Helmy at Guaranteed Service is unbelievable with the work that they do. We're proud to have them on board as part of the radio show and the podcast. Thanksgiving morning, we had a complete plumbing disaster within 90 minutes. Helmy and his team were there in the driveway solving the problem. I'll be right back.
Hi, Joe here from Guaranteed Service. There's nothing worse than having your furnace or boiler break down during a cold spell. That's why this is a perfect time to take advantage of our $77 furnace or boiler tune-up. Our 21-point checklist covers everything needed to keep your system running safely and efficiently. We'll even guarantee no breakdowns all winter long or your repairs free. So call today for our $77 furnace or boiler tune-up and you'll become a customer for life. Guaranteed.
Hey guys, Bill Spadea back with you. Great to be with you on our new streaming show, Common Ground with me, Bill Spadea, brought to you by New Jersey 101.5, Town Square Media. We appreciate all the support that we get from management at Town Square and at New Jersey 101.5. Our goal, severalfold. Number one, to build on the largest audience in the state and take that and say, you know what, we are going to expand to this streaming platform for one reason. We want to bring in our younger audience, and we're starting to do that. It's growing very, very rapidly. We've seen tremendous exponential growth over the past year. As you know, with the Common Sense Club, we just launched Women for Common Sense today in Bridgewater, Somerset County. We had our 3rd luncheon in a row, 3 of 3 now, sold out. They all sold out within a few days. So you want to stay in touch with what we're doing. Make sure you are on the Common Sense Club website, commonsenseclub.org. You can also find out about everything I'm doing, media, event, etc., at billspadea.com. My next guest is the mayor-elect in Hopatcong. Now, Hopatcong, if you're not familiar, is a wonderful town in Sussex County, New Jersey. Just a wonderful place to live and work and raise kids. And it's dominated, and has been for a long time, by Republicans. Well, what happened was the Republican government decided they were going to stop responding to constituents. They were going to let things just kind of go because, hey, we're not afraid of the voters. We're Republicans. We're always going to win. Well, enter my next guest, who is the mayor-elect in Hopatcong, Marie Galate. And Marie's story is awesome. First of all, Marie, great speech today at Women for Common Sense. We're going to have that posted on all our platforms. Tell me quickly how you got into this, and briefly the story you told in the speech, and I didn't realize this, it was about the quality of water in the town, and the mayor's like, we're not going to bother telling anybody that we have a water problem.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Exactly. We have 5,500 private well owners, and when I reached out to him to tell him my story of what had happened, he said, I don't have to tell them anything. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to tell them. If nobody else is going to tell them, I will.
So a grassroots campaign on cleaning up the water.
Absolutely.
Did you ever think you would take that then to the next step? All of a sudden now you're running against the guy?
No, I never thought that ever.
Did you think you'd win?
I thought that we had a very, very good chance because the more that we were out talking to people, the more that we were learning that people were very unhappy.
Yeah. What now? So you win. So this is the first part of the story. Huge success. Marie and her team, Rachel and Jen, run. They challenge the incumbent Republicans. They beat them badly in the primary. I mean, you really crushed them. They didn't take that as a conclusive answer for their career. They launched a write-in campaign against you in the general election.
Absolutely. The day after they lost.
Amazing.
A write-in campaign.
Bitter, angry. So you had to crush them again.
Yes.
And if I remember, I think it was almost 5-1. Like it was a wipeout.
I think it was 3.7 they said to 1.
All right, we'll round up to 4-1. You killed them. That's the bottom line. Yes. But they didn't stop at that. So you beat them in the primary. That should have been it. You should have been running unopposed. The Democrats didn't field anybody. Should have been a walk-in, start the transition. Nope, they run a write-in campaign. They come after you. You beat them now twice. Now, tell me what this administration is doing on their way out the door.
So they tried to hold an illegal meeting on November 20th. We had to reach out to the prosecutor's office and the attorney general's office, to the Office on Integrity, to let them know that they were having a meeting that was never advertised. So we were able to shut that meeting down, and we thought that that was enough, but they brought that entire agenda that they were trying to secretly pass through back up on December 6th.
And what's the agenda? I mean, I want to just kind of narrow it down. As I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, they're essentially stripping the powers away from the mayor and giving the powers to the unelected business administrator.
Yes. Typically in the ending of the year, you do minutia, you pay bills, you don't put anything major, and yet on this agenda, they were selling property, they were changing employee contracts, there was 34 pages of administrative code that was changing without even a mention of it at any other council meeting for the last 3 years. It was just put on the agenda and they were going to vote on it. And in one resolution, the mayor had power to execute any contract until the end of the year. And then 2 resolutions later, it was, we're going to strip all the powers of the incoming mayor.
We're on our third meeting now, right? The first one, you showed up and said, this is an illegal meeting. They shut it down. Second one, I remember talking about this on the air, and Joe actually called the show. Joe LaBarbera, the Sussex County chairman, and he started talking about it, and then I had mayors from other parts, including my good friend Mark Taylor, who's the mayor of Florham Park in Morris County, said, hey, we're going to show up. We're going to get people. And I know that all of a sudden we had this groundswell and buzz. I understand almost 200 people showed up.
It was over 200 people.
That's fantastic.
There was 88 people in the council chambers, 178 people in the hall, and there was over 30 people waiting to get in the door.
So almost 300 people. So they shut it down again.
So they shut it down.
Of course. Now the next meeting is on what, December 20th?
December 20th.
All right, but I understand that they're not going to take their chances. It's a Zoom meeting.
Yes, they're going to Zoom. They do not want to hear from the public.
So let me ask you this, and I know you can't project, but your goal, you have reached out to the Attorney General's office and the Sussex County prosecutor. So a word to the AG's office, you guys have spent an awful lot of time going after parents who've wanted to stand up for their kids and be involved in the curriculum, et cetera. Maybe it's time to actually look at good government and take a long look at what's happening in Hopatcong, because we cannot survive if you've got outgoing politicos holding on and denying power. This is an outright denial of the election results.
And actually, outgoing administration is not supposed to bind the incoming government. They're not supposed to do that. And this is, for some reason, it's happening.
Where can people go to find you? Is it Facebook? I know that a lot of our listeners, a lot of our viewers are going to say, I want to help this team. I want to help speak up, because what happens in Hopatcong, the eyes of New Jersey are on this. If this can happen in Hopatcong, it can happen anywhere.
Absolutely.
So we have to stop it there. Is it Facebook, website?
So
where do you want people to go?
our tagline is Hopac on Excellence. So we do have a website for Hopac on Excellence and a Facebook page for Hopac on Excellence.
Hopatcong Excellence. I will plug that. I'm going to write about this tomorrow. You're all watching us live. Here we are. I believe it's Thursday, December 14th. I'm pretty sure I got that. I don't know. The days are blending together as we run around the state. But Marie Galate, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mayor-elect in Hopatcong. Isn't she fantastic? So there is a lot to talk about. I want to wrap the show up with one more final guest. Her name is Rachel Rodriguez. Rachel was elected with Marie. She is a council member-elect, and I just wanted you to briefly meet her as we talk about how we restore good government. And I meant what I said. There is no excuse for the state attorney general office. The office of the attorney general should be focused on righting wrongs and making sure that people aren't cheating, usurping power, and going beyond their constitutionally provided job description. And if you have to fight this at the level of the mayor, imagine what's going on at every other level of government. Rachel, congratulations on your election.
Thank you.
Was this your first run for office?
This is my first run for office.
How did it happen? Did Marie come knocking on the door? And she's like, no, I'm not doing this alone. You got to help me. What happened?
No, so I actually, I'm a type 1 diabetic, right? So
Okay.
if I call 911, I want to make sure somebody answers the phone when I call.
Yeah.
So we have a local dispatch center in Hopatcong that's based at our police department, and there were inclinations that they were trying to outsource our dispatch center, so they would no longer be
Really?
in town. They wanted
Why?
to move it up to county.
To save money?
It's
Why?
to save money, but I think what they forget is when you sign a contract, the initial sign-up offer, fantastic, love it. But then come contract renewal,
Right.
you're stuck paying whatever they offer you.
Right.
So I think for me personally, I wanted to make sure that every time somebody called 911, a Hopatcong dispatcher would answer the call.
That's great. I love that. And you've heard this. We've been talking about this all show. We talked about it at the Women for Common Sense Lunch, that it is about local. It's about 911 calls. Who's answering the call? It's about the potholes. It's about the level of toxins in your water supply. It's about all of these things, and that gets lost in translation. So, okay, so you decide to run. You guys get together. Hopatcong Excellence. Yep. I love it. I love the tagline. How has this journey been, and did you have any expectation that the guys you beat soundly, I might add, guys, if you're listening, you got clobbered. I mean, it wasn't even close. What an embarrassment. And what does it show you? It shows that when you stray and you decide to be in it for yourself instead of your constituents, the voters will repay you with a big loss. So did you have any expectation, or did you think, okay, we won, that's it, we're moving into City Hall?
I was actually a little astonished. It's my first time running, I was like, is every race this ugly? Is it always this bad?
Yes.
I said, wow.
In Jersey, I think so.
Yeah. So our expectation, we were always very positive, and our mindset was not if we win, it's when we win.
Yeah.
When we win, this is what we're going to do for the people. And again, we were running on what was best for the community, and all these attacks we were taking were personal attacks. And I think the incumbents were forgetting that focusing all this time and energy on us, they're forgetting they're in there representing the people who are going to vote, in the primary and in the general, and it's like their focus wasn't there, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, it's so impressive what you guys have pulled off. Well, as you know, and you heard me talking to Marie, I'm here to help. So we're going to use the power of the microphone, the power of the organizations, and make sure that there is a transition and whatever it takes to get that done. The people deserve to have their election results counted, heard, and your representation.
No,
Rachel,
absolutely.
thank you.
And really quick, I just have to shout out my husband. He's a huge fan of yours. And without him and my kids, Dan, I love you. He's my rock. He's my hero. And there's no way I couldn't have done this without him.
Dan, I got to tell you, you got a better half. But congratulations. And it does take a family. And the fact that I love that you shouted your husband out. Dan, thank you. And I appreciate you listening to the show. Appreciate the support you've clearly given your wife to pursue this journey because it really is for all of us. It does take a family and it takes a community. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
You too.
All right, guys, as I wrap up today, just a couple of final thoughts from me. First of all, every guest you heard today, you didn't hear Republican talking points. You didn't hear partisan ideology. What did you hear? You heard local government matters. Mom and dad have a right to know what's being taught to their kids. Mom and dad should be the first stop when a kid is having a gender crisis or kids are pushing them around, bullying them, all of those things. Mom and dad should be first. The Democratic majority in New Jersey has decided that the bureaucracy and the lawyers should be first, not mom and dad. That is wrong. We're going to change that. And I'll just give you a quick part of what I said earlier at the Women for Common Sense Luncheon. And I've been repeating this theme because it is absolutely critical that we focus on what the real goal is here. The goal is to start winning again. And winning for common sense, winning for practical government, winning for our communities, winning for our families, our small businesses, our first responders, winning for the American culture that has drawn so many millions from around the world to want to come here. Unfortunately, our process of bringing these new Americans in is completely broken, and we have such weak leadership in Washington, weak leadership in Trenton, that A, every state has become a border state, and B, we are completely overrun by people who are here illegally. We need to fix that and go back to being, as Ronald Reagan talked about, that shining city on the hill, that beacon of hope for liberty and prosperity. We can do that, but we're not going to do it until we can protect that 13-year-old girl who has a right to be in the locker room without boys coming in pretending they're girls. That's number one. We also need to teach that 13-year-old girl about American exceptionalism, American greatness. We have to stop disparaging our country and tearing down all the critical institutions, our faith, our family. All of those things need to be in place because people need help. People need help and support. That's how we get through. That's number one. And then we have to think about the 33-year-old mom. That 33-year-old mom deserves to live in a neighborhood that is safe from predators and criminals. We need to completely revamp our justice system, get rid of bail reform, and change the tone of law and order and turn it back on putting the criminals behind bars and empowering law enforcement. And third, we've got to stand up for that 63-year-old grandmother who has a right to stay in New Jersey in a place that is affordable for her and her family to be able to live and grow together and be there for the grandkids and see all those milestones. Too many young families are moving out, and too many grandparents can't afford to move out, so they get pushed and crushed under the economic pressure that is caused directly by irresponsible government in Washington and in Trenton. And I will tell you this, that we had a great sellout event today. Our next one's on February 1st in Mercer County. We're going to sell that one out too. I want to see you there. Please keep checking back to BillSpadea.com and follow us on social media. Be aware of what we're doing and join me, because we're joined by 143,000 members of the Common Sense Club. We're joined by women from across this state, and men, families, and teachers, and nurses, and cops, and 911 dispatchers, and everyone in between, Uber drivers and truck drivers and retail workers, who have all said New Jersey should be safe, sane, and secure, and affordable to the average person. We're going to fight to bring that back. Thank you for joining me today on Common Ground. Make sure you tune in tomorrow on New Jersey 101.5 FM, 6 to 10 a.m. And again, follow me on Twitter at Bill Spadea, and I'll see you at the next one.